Hey, what's up? This is DJ Thunderous. I'm happy to be here with BillyBio from Biohazard and so many other projects. How's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. How you doing?
Oh, we're happy to be here with you. We're doing good today. We're going to be talking
Awesome.
about your new album and things that have been going on with you. But first of all, for all the listeners out there, could you give them a history of how you got started into music and, bring us up to now?
Of course. So I cut my teeth with Biohazard, a band from Brooklyn, New York. If you don't know, you can Google it. But we came up. We were little kids that came up in an awesome time in New York City in the New York hardcore scene and metal scene. Came from a club called L'Amour, which is the rock club of Brooklyn, the metal club. Everybody from Metallica and Iron Maiden, Slayer played there. And another club called CBGB's, which is like the punk rock epicenter of New York City, Lower East Side. And then made a lot of noise with Biohazard. We did I think almost 10 records.
Wow.
I lost count. And then from there, I released a solo record. It was funny because somebody asked me, the first solo record for BillyBio came out called Feed the Fire, came out 2018. And you just mentioned that, but when I first put that out, somebody said, "What'd you wait 25 years to do a solo record for?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it is kind of long, isn't it?" But with Biohazard, I felt like, looking back at it now, I feel like I was kind of a solo artist in that sense, because I would bring in finished songs, from Punishment to, these are Biohazard songs, to Tales from the Hard Side, all these different songs that I would fully write and record and bring them in like a finished version. First it was cassette tape, and then it was CDs, and then it was MP3s. But I love the way a band works. Like everybody adds in their 2 cents, and the holes of some of the parts. That's fucking awesome, and I love it. And I don't know if I can curse on the radio, but
I'll say what you want.
All right. So that whole kind of thing is just it's always been who I was. And within Biohazard, we put it through what we call a meat grinder. And everybody, whoever brought the song in, it kind of changed a little bit. Everybody would add their own little flavor. But I look at it now, and after years of doing that, I kind of got to a point where it's like I'm a chef. It's
Yep.
I create a recipe, and I don't want anybody else fucking with my soup. I like it to taste the way I like it to taste.
You don't want to make two pots out of your soup.
Yeah, and sometimes it gets better, and but it dilutes the purity for me, and it's kind of like a painter. You don't paint a painter, you don't create a painting of what you envision in your head, hang it on the wall, invite your buddies over, give them some beer and a paintbrush, and say, go ahead, change what you want to change.
Mm-hmm.
It stays what you intended. I like that. I get it. I really get a lot of satisfaction. I feel like it's a pure representation of who I am and what I want to say inside, and I dig that a lot. I still love doing things like Biohazard or Powerflo, or being part of a band where you're it's a collective effort. But as a producer and a writer, songwriter, I in a weird way, I like keeping the shit pure and having that soup taste like what I intended.
I can imagine that, And down the road, who were some of your personal music influences? Who were you playing on your cassette tapes back then?
Shoot, I love and grew up with everything from I think the first music was through my old, probably how most of us learned about music. For those that were around when there was only vinyl, but you stumble onto your parents' record collection. My pop, from Led Zeppelin to Rolling Stones.
Yep.
Yes, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and fucking the Beatles, and Elvis, and Johnny Cash, and all these great classic records. But it was not my music. So even though I loved it, and later on in life I turned back to that to really appreciate how awesome that music is, and was. And then it was Kiss. I think Kiss was the first band that I really liked. But then really it wasn't until I found punk rock and hardcore and metal that I realized that you could I don't know. I just felt like I belonged more. You know, like a lot of times you feel like you don't really get along with people that you go to school with or you're friends with, and even though you know maybe you're on the same team or the same class with them, and you talk and you're friends, I felt like I was an outsider and didn't belong anywhere. And then when I found the underground scene and as a fan, I finally felt like I was part of a family, and that was, you know, it's still to this day, it's where I feel most comfortable. Being 2 years away from it fucking sucks for all of us.
Oh,
I mean,
yes, it
we all
has.
none of the, we all can't. Yeah, it's fucking horrible. And then on the flip side, being a musician and artist and not being able to be, you know, part of that scene on stage, it sucks too. So I'm looking forward to things opening back up. The new record is, you know, my first release off coming out of the pandemic. I'm super psyched, you know, to get that music out and share what I've been working on for quite a while now.
I'm sure, and we can't wait to hear it.
So, sorry.
That's
You
okay.
probably asked. Sorry, you asked for specific bands. So that was the beginning, and then you know bands like you know everybody from Agnostic Front to Adrenaline OD and Iron Maiden and Minor Threat, the Cro-Mags and Metallica, Slayer, all the great metal, hardcore, and punk rock in the world. Minor Threat was a big band when I was young. I loved, but so all that stuff kind of just comes out naturally. Even bands like Beastie Boys and Public Enemy, Ice-T. So all these bands are a huge influence of mine. But people often I get the question I get is, what do you listen to now? I listen to all new music, like the new music that I hear from Jose and all the guys at SiriusXM and ladies. That outlet is awesome because it's just you can hear it anywhere. It's the same awesome programming wherever you are in the world. But in Europe, you can listen to on the internet, which is killer.
Yep.
But so I get a lot of new music there, but none of the new. I'm not influenced by what's happening right now. I think a lot of my influences came from when I was first being turned on to music and less prolific as a writer and an artist. Even that there was the first record of Agnostic Front, Victim in Pain. It starts with this guitar chord that's out of tune, and I remember hearing it for the first time, and the piano. It was my first instrument. I started playing piano when I was 6 years old.
That's awesome.
But when I heard that guitar that was out of tune, and I was like, whoa! I'm like, wait a minute, it's out of tune. That's fucking awesome. And it was like that was like a pivotal moment where I realized it's more about the attitude, not about perfection. And that's kind of been my thing in life. It's not so much that you're playing an A minor seventh chord, but it's how you fucking strum the chord. And if it's out of tune, who gives a fuck? It's more about the attitude and how you deliver it.
And if you think it's beautiful and that's making your new soup, that's awesome.
Yeah, there you go. I like that soup. That's the first time I ever used that analogy, and I'm going to keep that.
You're going to have. I hear some new music coming out of that.
Yep, we all love soup. Soup, actually, I know this is boring.
It's okay. It's not boring.
All the hard people out there are going to be like, come on, really, dude? But soup is actually one of the healthiest foods to eat, and if you pay attention to your health, you want to spend as little energy as possible breaking down food so you retain as much energy from that food. So soups, you can make anything into a soup. You just blend the shit up and your body absorbs it quick, and it's fast as fuck. You can get back to what you're doing.
Yep, exactly.
But I've also heard that beer has all the four food groups, so that's cool too.
Oh, that'll flush out the soup. You'll be good.
There you go.
So how did you acquire the name BillyBio, and tell us about yourself and who is BillyBio?
So I had a bunch of different names that I was fooling around with, and it was going to be like this new thing. And then I had, in the mid-2000s, I had a band called Suicide City with Jen from Kitty, my buddy Carl, and AJ from a band called Ghost Fight, Groove Nicks. Danny LaMagna, who now, he was with Sworn Enemy for a bit, now he's with Agnostic Front. But during that era, it was kind of like, Biohazard was taking a break, and we did 2 records, and I was kind of like, I didn't want people to like us because of Jen from Kitty and me from Biohazard. I kind of wanted to stand on our own 2 feet, and I didn't let the record labels talk about the bands. I'm like, don't focus on the fact that it's the dude from Biohazard's new band. I want people to just be turned on to us, and if they like us, cool. I don't want to kind of give them a pre idea, or
Right.
I don't want to kind of taint them. I just let them, if you like it, cool. It was a different thing. It was more like a cross between, Google us. It's pretty cool. But anyways, during that time, what I realized after that, and all the guys in the band, the whole band, they're all Biohazard fans, and they would fucking crank Biohazard music, but I was into doing what I was doing at the moment. And Biohazard, it wasn't like I was bitter about it, but I was kind of like, I was onto something different.
Mm-hmm.
And many times we'd be partying in the van, you'd drive around the country, and I'd be like, yo, fuck, please don't play fucking Biohazard. Come on, turn that shit off. Let's listen to fucking the new whatever record was out at the time. But during that time, we toured around the country and went to South America, never got to Europe. But I realized that who I am is a product of all my experiences, good and bad,
Right.
all around. And then when I came to it, I realized with a little bit what I mentioned before, I love being that cook that just, makes the soup,
We're back to that soup. Yep.
I realized, this is who I am. I am from Biohazard. I spent my whole life, a lot of my life, working hard to build a name and kind of a brand, but people know me, mostly for what I've done with Biohazard. And this is just a continuation and evolution of who I am as a person, as an artist, as a guitar player, singer, and a band dude. And BillyBio is, encompasses all those influences and all those experiences into one, and people who don't know me, give it a chance, check it out, and I'd love, hit me up on social media. I'm at Billy Biohazard. I talk directly with everybody.
Yep.
And I'd love to turn you on to new music. I think you'll dig it.
Oh, we will, I'm sure. Now, you've played in a lot of projects with a lot of people over the years. How many total projects have you been in, and, who have you gotten to meet over the years?
That's a good question. I never had that question before.
Yeah.
It's kind of like tattoos. You lose track of them, I don't know. I played, most of my career was with Biohazard, but I did some stuff with, Cypress Hill, Onyx,
Mm-hmm.
Blood for Blood, Suicide City. I have a band called Blue on the new record, Billy Grazidei. There's a couple of tracks that are little segments from that band Blue. I write and produce a lot of bands. I have a recording studio called Firewater Studios in Los Angeles. So I write and produce a lot of bands there.
Yep.
There's a new, not to get off on a tangent, but there's a new record I just finished for a band called Cutthroat that's fucking killer. That'll be out later this year.
Oh, you have to send that to us.
So, yeah, it's pretty badass. And then, I'm probably forgetting a lot.
Yeah. Sepultura.
So I get, you know what it is? I feel like my whole life is my artistic expression. It's like who I am. BillyBio is Billy Grazidei, the dude, the artist who just creates different things, and each project is like a chapter in my life. Biohazard was and still is a big part of my life. BillyBio is kind of like the umbrella for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Powerflo is a band that I have with Send Out Inside the Sale, Christian from Fear Factory.
That's awesome.
And that we're working on our second record for that band. So everything is like a little bit of piece of me, And I think maybe BillyBio is a broad stroke of everything.
Yep, and you've been through a lot over the years. Now, when you decided to create your old studio, it was called Rat Piss Studio. Why did you, change the name of it and move to California and change it to Firewater Studios? How did that happen?
Wow, you did your homework. That's funny. No one's brought that name up for a while. So, Rap Piss, we had a it was kind of like a jam room, storage area. It turned into a recording studio for Biohazard. It was called Rap Piss Studios. It was right underneath the Brooklyn Bridge in Brooklyn, between the Brooklyn Bridge and Manhattan Bridge, and it's called Dumbo. And it was a shitty neighborhood. It was in a basement of this old warehouse. We paid, I think it was like maybe $500. We started there at $500 a month, and it was a huge warehouse space. And the dudes who owned it, they subdivided this giant floor plan in the basement into separate rooms. And what they did was they put down pallets. I know this is probably boring, but
no, it's not as cool.
Move on. So they built these floors on fucking pallets, right? Like little. I don't know if you know what a pallet is, but
yes, I do.
Things. And so and they put plywood over it, and they built the walls. So you have a hollow floor. What's by water in New York City, downtown, and where for centuries it was storage areas for grain and shipping.
Yep.
It's filled with fucking rats. So we had hollow floors in the studio, and these giant rats that look like cats, they would come up through the holes in the floor because they have these big pillars and they couldn't close the flooring. So they found ways to get into the studio, into the room, and they would just come and just fucking chill out. They would walk around the equipment, because half the studio was like equipment, and over the years they got more and more comfortable. It got to a point where you'd just be sitting on the couch, and on the shelving unit, like a rat would just walk by. They didn't give a fuck.
Wow.
They were just like, "Hey, what's up?"
Hey, mister.
And so this is where it gets real. This is where it gets foul, right?
All right.
So this studio was located the opposite end of the warehouse, and it was on J Street in Pearl, I think. I can't remember. But to go to the bathroom, it was like at the other end of the warehouse, right? And when you're in a creative mode, and you got this guitar riff or this idea going, you keep it. You don't want to break the flow. So to stop mid pace, to go and walk, 5 minutes. I know it sounds stupid. So this is a thing that every musician can relate to. When you're about to go on stage, the bathroom for the club you're playing is always far away. It's never close. And when you're on tour with bigger bands and you're playing in arenas, it's like 300 yards away.
Yep.
So you get into this nasty habit of pissing in a water bottle. All right. It's a blessing that men have an easier task of
True.
doing than women. But so that it was like it's a thing that whatever. And so we would you're drinking water all day, and you have empty buckets, empty jugs of water, and you piss in the fucking jug. And then, sometimes it's 4 a.m, you leave the studio and you've just been working all night, and you leave, you forget to throw the jug out.
Yep.
It gets kicked over, it gets moved, and then it gets shuffled aside, and suddenly you have a collection of piss bottles. So one of the friends from Sheila Richmond, a friend from one of our record labels, Universal, she was at the studio listening to one of the new records, and she said, "What the hell? What the hell's going on here?" First, she saw the rat.
Yep.
And she didn't say anything about the pee bottles, but she saw the rat, and she's like, "Oh my, is that a fucking rat?" And we're like, "Yeah." And then she said, what are those? Don't tell me what's in those bottles. What is that?" So we told her the story. She thought it was the most hilarious and disgusting thing she's ever seen or heard. So she dubbed the name Rat Piss Studios, and it stuck. And then, so eventually, we moved past that studio. The drummer, Biohazard Danny, and I opened up a new place in Jersey that was, it was less expensive because they kept raising the rent over the years, and gentrification of downtown Brooklyn changed so much that now you're probably paying $5,000 for that same space.
Probably, and still with the rats and the bottles.
Yep. So we never threw them out. We left them all there. So I bet you they're gone. But the so eventually we had that place. Danny moved on and got out of recording bands, but I stayed on, and I've been doing it since as a producer and engineer. And that studio is called Underground Sound Studios. Moved here, California. I married a Brazilian who got sick of the East Coast weather and opened up a new place called Firewater Studios, which is where I do all my work at. We did the last Biohazard record, the last two BillyBios, the two Powerflo records. The new one is not out yet, but we're finishing up now. And then everything else that I work on. So it's been an awesome, crazy twist and turn. When I opened up the studio here, in the first year I had two floods and a fire, and it was a fucking nightmare. But
wow.
That's why I called the studio Firewater.
There you go. That works. I'm sorry it had to be that way.
You know what? It's success is based on how you handle the disasters and the fucking shitty turn of luck. It's easy to celebrate when you win the lottery, but you know it's winning the lottery and losing the lottery ticket and how you handle that disaster. That is a testament to true success, you know?
That's for sure. Now, back in 2018, you said you released your new solo album, and I see that you toured with Life of Agony. That had to be so awesome. How did that all work out?
It was great, actually. It was kind of funny because we were in the mid touring cycle with Powerflo. The Life of Agony crew, we've been friends. It's almost like we were like brothers since we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
We all came up together. Always loved them, and we had a great time touring with them with Powerflo and Life of Agony. And then during that tour of the West Coast, Joey, the whole band, they know that I've been pretty prolific, you know, in my career as a writer, and they knew about this new solo thing I was doing. And at the time, I hadn't called it BillyBio yet. I didn't know what I was going to do, but they said they wanted to take me on tour. Could you pull it together and get the release together before we take you on tour? And I'm like, when's the tour? And they said, it's in October. Like, October? It's fucking August. So it was kind of cool because it lit a fire under my ass. And I went home from that tour, got a record deal with, it's a funny story. I got a record deal with these dudes who told me they had a distribution deal and an imprint with Sony Records. And it was a done deal, and I was going to be for their first record release. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool because I knew it would be a good opportunity because it'd be the success. Their success as a label would be based off of the success of their first release. So I was really interested, and you know, we had a contract, we had an agreement, and they kept giving me a hard time about not signing the contract so quick. I was like, hold on, I have my lawyers and people that I trust in the music industry that are going over the contract and the details. And the dude said to me, yo, you don't need a lawyer. You've been in the business for a long time. What the fuck you need a lawyer for? And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, what'd you say to me? And he goes, you know what I mean? Come on, you know the business. I said, bro, you tell me I don't need to fucking have a lawyer look at the contract? I said,
wow.
First of all, you know who the fuck I am? Yeah, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So it turned out, these fuckers, they told Sony that they had me already signed, that I was their first release. And so they lied to both parties. They ended up losing their deal with Sony. I told them to go fuck themselves, and which put me in a bad position. It's funny. I know it's boring to everybody else.
No, it's not. It's pretty interesting to see what, artists go through and all the stuff they have to go through. It's amazing.
Yeah, like I said, it's how you handle the bad news. So I ended up meeting AFM Records, and we this whole thing with this other label going. Now we're talking about August and September. So mid-September, I pulled it together, and I through the years, my DIY ethic and my work ethic really, I do everything my stuff. I learned that you can't rely on anybody else but yourself. And I pulled it together, got teamed up with AFM, and that record came out at the end of November. probably too soon, but I was in the middle of a tour with Life of Agony,
Yep.
and it worked. And here we are on my second record, and I'm proud as hell of where we've been and where we are.
That's excellent. So, on to the new album, Leaders and Liars. What's the concept of the album? And wow, you got a lot of tracks on that album.
Yeah, it's loaded. It's more bang for your buck. It's 15 tracks. Are you guys from the East Coast, by the way?
Yeah.
Upstate New York.
Upstate New York.
Oh, where? Albany?
We're near Albany. We're in Rotterdam.
Awesome. I know Rotterdam.
Yep.
It's named after a town in Holland that's pretty badass too.
That is. Yep.
So I knew you guys are East Coast. So we ended up. I lost track of your question. Sorry. Oh, the record's filled with songs. It's like 15 songs of the record, but it has a little bit of everything. You know, like my influences, like I mentioned earlier, they range a lot. It's a heavy record. It's fast, furious, and aggressive, but tasteful. You know, like it's got all the flavors that people, I think, that I love. You know, from my foundation with Biohazard, and a little bit of everything else that I think people like about what I do with my music.
So it's like a little taste of every one of your soups.
Yeah, it's goulash. That's what it is. BillyBio goulash.
All right, and maybe throw in a pizza.
Yeah, there you go.
So you said there's 15 tracks. How many were written actually before you decided about the 15 that were going to be put on the album?
Good question. It's weird because I don't sit down with a goal in mind. I don't have a focus where I go, okay, I'm going to write a record that's more metal than this first record that's a little bit more punk rock influenced and hardcore influenced. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
This record, my music is always, I shouldn't say my music, but my creativity is always flowing. I always got something bubbling inside, and those songs come out daily, weekly, monthly. And so there's a comes to a point where you have these songs that kind of magnetize together, and they just suddenly attach and jump off the paper and say, yo, I'm fucking a new record. It's called Leaders and Liars. And it happens. And I love that process. I love that moment. I love that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great part of the creative cycle of being an artist that I love, especially being solo, because I watch it all unfold with my own two eyes, and it comes from my own two hands. So I really love doing what I do. Leaders Liars it's another thing is that it's my second record.
Yep.
Every band that I ever fell in love with, their second record is always what kind of makes them really pop off the table. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And jump out and say, "Yo, this is what we're really made of." Because the first record, you don't really know each other. You haven't been on tour together that much, and you had a lot of time to put those songs together. But the second record is created after you tour on the road together. You play those songs from the first record over and over again. You really gel into a band, and you cut your teeth during those moments where that second record really represents, to me, it's like the meat and potatoes of what you're made of.
Right.
And this record is like, for Biohazard was Urban Discipline, the Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, all these great bands Agnostic Front, all these great bands, although Agnostic Front, probably the first record, Victim in Pain, is really what grabbed me. But this record is that second record for me, and I'm proud as hell of the record.
That's awesome. Now, who did the artwork? I saw a preview of the artwork. Who does your artwork for your albums?
So, my boy, the Crew Eyebrows, he's a friend of mine from New York. He's a street artist, and we've tried to work together many times over the past. And this time around, we did a little different. I sent him some music. I shared some lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
and he was part of the process while I was writing during the pandemic. And
Yep.
he saw kind of the songs pull together. So, and we shared ideas, and I gave him some concept ideas, what I was going with, and then there's a title track, Leaders and Liars, that seemed to jump out for me, and that was when I think really things started pulling together. And then we went back and forth with ideas, and he really nailed it for me.
It's pretty
There was
cool.
a lot of back and forth. Thank you. A little different, you know.
Yeah.
I always want to try to throw you a curveball a little bit.
Well, that's right. Then everybody will know what they're looking for, right?
Yeah, and we did a limited edition artwork print, and there's a gold version of the record. That's so dope. I'm about to release it probably this week, but it has a limited edition amount of hand numbered prints of the cover.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty cool.
So I know there's quite a few artists that are involved in this record. Who was involved in this album, which made it so good for you?
So I had a bunch of guys that I've been friends with and play with. A lot of the guys played on the first record. My drummer Fred is the drummer from also with me in Powerflo.
Mm-hmm.
Close buddy, and I produce his other bands. Rod Diaz plays with Suicidal.
Yep.
He also played on my first record, and now he's with Korn.
I know. I saw that. That's
him
really
and I
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. His birthday's today.
Oh, it is.
Him and my daughter share a birthday.
That's awesome.
So then we have Robbie is from Scotland. He's a guitar player for a band called The Exploited, who I've been touring with so many times throughout my life. Great friends. And then Rob, sorry, I mentioned Robbie. Dan Marca is a bass player from Italy, who's a good friend of mine. And then Dan is a good friend from a band called Death by Stereo, who I'm tight with. So we've all been playing together, from the first record on, and it's great to play with guys that the musicianship that they have is unparalleled. It's awesome.
Right.
It makes me look way better than I am. Great, but I love the fact that they respect that it's my thing. I write everything, and kind of I'm not looking for anybody else to add salt to my soup, so to speak.
There you go.
But they do add their flavor,
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. So your album is releasing, which is called Leaders and Liars, and it's releasing on March 25th. What else could you tell us, that everybody should be looking for? I know in the beginning, we played Blackout, and at two songs at the end, we're going to play One Life to Live and Turn the Wounds, if you want to tell everybody a little about them.
Sure. So Blackout, killer song. I really love it. It's got a Biohazard foundation, but a little bit modern-esque. Is that a word, modern-esque?
It could be. Put it in the soup. You'll be okay.
Yeah, Blackout is. We all get to a point where we have a line in the sand where on certain things, like, you know what, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. And if that line gets crossed, then you have to choose how you want to handle that situation. Blackout deals with that, on a very simple level. It could be about how you deal with road rage, or how you deal with, a confrontation in a relationship or at work or whatever. One Life to Live was the first single I did. I just released a video, by the way, for Blackout, and the videos I direct and put them all together myself. But it's pretty dope. Pretty happy with. I can check it out on my YouTube channel. It's Billy
Definitely
Bio.
will.
But the first single and video I released was for a song called One Life to Live, which you'll hear about. You'll play hopefully at the end of this interview.
Yes,
but
we will.
It has a. I did a guest with Toby Morse from H2O, and the song is a. I've always loved how, and I assimilate with every generation has a group of kids who don't give a fuck. They live life like it's their last day on earth. That is appealing to me. I love that. Those are the people they become the movers and shakers in life. It's where they don't take any shit. They like what they like. They don't, and if they're not into it, they don't. It's not interesting. They move on.
Yep.
I love that you don't live kind of vibe, and that song is a testament about, and it's kind of a PMA song about living like that and not giving a fuck how other people want you to live. You choose your way, your life, your way. I love that. the video was pretty cool. I did the one camera shoot, and the idea I got from the movie Goodfellas, which I loved as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I shot it on my iPhone. It's one camera shoot. It doesn't. There's no edit, and it's pretty cool video. You can check it out. Like I said, on my YouTube BillyBio channel. But then the other song, Turn the Wounds, has to be cinematographically and conceptually the most interesting and most epic video I ever created. But here's a funny thing. If I describe the video to you, it's fucking hilarious. Yeah, it's the video with the hot nurse and a horse.
Okay.
That's fucking crazy. But there's a lot of duality in a lot of my music. The first record, Feed the Fire, it had a lot about street ethics and law and order. And there's a lot of duality between that. The Turn the Wounds, we're coming out of a pandemic, and now we're hopefully, averting World War III here. But there's a lot of separation in our world, between, for the past couple of years, past year, it's been the vaccinated and the unvaccinated.
Right.
Left and right, big eaters. Your political affiliation, your religious association, all these things, but all they do it's been creating a culture of intolerance. People would just like, if you don't believe in what I believe in, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to unfriend me, all that shit.
Yep.
And that really, it's disruptive. It's not progress. It's not a two-step forward, one step back situation. It's a one step forward, two steps backward, because I think it's more hurtful than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So Turn the Wounds kind of plays on that duality and how we are in a more, not to get too heavy on it, but anyways, it's a powerful video. The song is how we can turn, we've all had to deal with adversity and difficult situations in life, but it's the ability to turn those into something positive that I found is helpful for me, and it's about that metamorphosis of that I found trying to find some kind of positive thing out of a negative situation.
Well, you've been trying to do that all your life with your music. Your music has helped you through a lot.
You know what? It's self-therapy, man. It's a lot cheaper than going to therapy and sitting down and talking to some book-smart dude who has no understanding about my past and is not really interested,
about what you want to be.
Getting paid. Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, I see that you have a foundation. Could you tell everybody about that?
You're talking about Crew Socks?
Yes.
Yes. So the homeless and mental illness situations in the world, especially in LA, all over though, but is something that is gotten worse over the past 5 years, but specifically over the past couple of years. There's a song on the new record called Cyanide where I touch on the relationships between, and if anyone's ever had to deal with anyone in the family or personally with mental illness, it's powerful, and the ripple effects of that, they ring loud and clear and for a long time, and people don't see that. You see the guy on the corner asking for money, or the woman asking for money, and you write them off as, oh, they're addicted to crack or heroin. Sometimes, and a lot of times it's the case, but there's a history, there's a story, there's a lot of people that love and care for those people, and sometimes they're just lost souls that can't find their way, or they decide they're sick of society and the way things are, and we've all been there.
Yeah.
And we choose to go to work every day and pay our bills. Some people decide to just drop out. So that's something that's important to me, and I think that if you can do anything good in life and leave the world in a little bit better place than we left it, kudos for you.
Exactly. So that's when the socks come in?
So Crew Socks is a company that I was involved with, that I love what they do. I'm not working with them anymore.
Oh, okay.
But I love what they do. We create this company where if you buy a pair of socks, we give away 2 for homeless. If you buy 3, we give away 2 pairs of socks, we give away 3. If you buy 3, we give away 5 pairs of socks.
That's awesome.
And it's an awesome thing. Number one need, requested most item for a homeless person is socks. And for me, it's funny. When I was a kid, we were like Irish twins. We're all like 11 months apart. So 5 brothers. Socks were like, my mother must have sold socks over and over again because, we couldn't afford new socks. So it was like seams on top of seams and top of seams. Even boots. I remember, in New York, it's cold as fuck, and when the weather hit, whether it was rainy or snow, you had sneakers. You had 1 pair of sneakers you wore to fucking school every day, and you didn't wear boots in the winter. We put it wasn't even sandwich bags.
No, it was those
bags. My mother would
Price Chopper bags or the market bags.
Yeah, actually, it was the bread.
Yes.
Bag.
Yep, like the Wonder Bread.
Growing up, my mother.
Yep.
Yeah, the Wonder Bread. And then you put it over your socks. You kept your socks, your feet kind of dry, and you went to school like that,
And then back then you were outside every day. You weren't inside doing social media and playing your video games, and there was nothing like that. All right, so can you let everyone know where they can purchase the album when it releases, and what your social media sites are, and if you have any tour plans coming up?
Yep. So the record comes out Friday, March 25th. Called Leaders and Liars. If you go to BillyBio.com, there's a link. There's a link tree. Any social media site I have, which is all at Billy Biohazard, you can follow the link to check it out. It's on all streaming networks. There's 3 singles out now, so you can check it out now. But next Friday, March 25th, it comes out. And I've been fighting at the bit to get this record released so I can share it with people who want to hear what I got going on. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we can talk again soon when you come out with something new, or you have other things going on. And if you could do a shout out for the radio station for us.
Of course, I'd love to. Yo, what's up? This is Billy Bio. Check out one of my new tunes off of Leaders and Liars on Thunderhead Show, MetalDevastationRadio.com, where metal reigns supreme.
Fuck yeah, that's cool.